And we're unmuted, and
Okay.
we are on record.
Thank you. Good evening. I'm going to call to order the Committee of Infrastructure, this being Wednesday, August 27, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Aldermanic Chamber and duly noticed in 2 places, including the city's website, in accordance with the requirements of RSA 91-A:2, numeral number 2. Roll call will be taken. To the clerk, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Alderman Thibodeau?
Here.
Alderman Sullivan?
Here.
Alderman Clee is here. Alderman Dowd?
Present.
And Alderman at Large O'Brien.
Present.
You have 5 present.
Okay, I declare a quorum. Welcome, everybody. Also in attendance will be Mr. Tim Cummings, Administrative Services Director, Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. We're expecting Jill Stanfield.
She's online.
Oh, she's on. Hi, Jill. Okay, Parking Manager, Don Enright, and we also have another guest, Mr. Craig Fitzgerald of the Boys and Girls Club. Now I'll open up the portion of the meeting to public comment. Seeing no one, we'll close that session. Discussions and presentations. We have a couple tonight, but I think we have one quick one because it is pending. Time is of the matter. As you know, in New England, we only have a short window for shovel-ready projects, and this seems to be happening with the Boys and Girls Club. So I'm going to invite up to give us a presentation of the current work, Mr. Craig Fitzgerald. Can you come up and you could take any of the open seats you wish?
Is it on the agenda?
No. And also, I asked the board, without objections, to accept this testimony from Mr. Fitzgerald. Main reason is it's that quick, and it came up before, after the agenda was prepared. Thank you. Mr. Fitzgerald.
Thank you, sir. As he said, my name is Craig Fitzgerald. I'm the Executive Director at the Boys and Girls Club of Greater Nashua. Very excited to share with you a project that we are hoping to undertake. We are currently in the process of, or in the middle of a $12 million capital campaign. As part of the campaign, we'll be expanding childcare, building a youth mental health suite. We've already improved our kitchen, serving 75,000 meals a year, as well as a new STEAM lab and some other initiatives. One of the goals of the program or the capital campaign is to expand open-air outdoor spaces for youth activities. In front of the building, we're located at One Positive Place. Right in front of the building is a very old street hockey court. We currently run multiple street hockey leagues on it, one of them with the POW organization. As part of this capital campaign, we partnered with Conway Arena, who has been kind enough to provide $100,000 in seed funding to revitalize that street hockey court. We also reached out to the Bruins Foundation, who was kind enough to donate an additional $100,000 to revitalize the street hockey court. And we, through the capital campaign and our generous donors, will be contributing the additional or needed $240,000. So for a total of $440,000, our plan is to completely revitalize that. It'll be a 55% replica of an actual NHL court, full brand new boards, stadium seating with bleachers, team seats, as well as the Bruins logo on the center. We've been working with the mayor and the director of the Department of Public Works for about 10 months now on this. We've identified a contractor, and we are ready to go. It'll take about 12 weeks. The last top coat does require warmer temperatures, and so our hope for start date would be September 15th. That would allow us to finish this before it gets too cold and be ready for the children and the community starting in the springtime. We have asked that we could have a dedicated 12 to 15 hours of time through the club. We'll run youth sport leagues that any youth in Greater Nashua can participate in. Every other hour of the court will be open to the public to use at any time. That's my presentation. I worked with the mayor and the director. I just wanted to bring it to your attention today. I'm going back to the Department of Public Works tomorrow, hopefully to get a vote. Site plans have already been distributed, and then I've been advised to present to the full Board of Aldermen on September 9th for a vote. Assuming we get that vote of yes or affirmative, then we'll start hopefully on September 15th. Any
Okay.
questions?
Yeah, I'll open it up to questions. Alderman Theobald.
Just for clarity, and it was, I guess, not paying attention when I quickly read through it before your presentation. So this is street hockey only, so it's not going to be able to be iced in the wintertime?
It was cost prohibitive to add ice. However, we worded it as outdoor recreational sports. While it would predominantly be used for street hockey, we envision, allowing the kids to do 4-on-4 soccer, some of the teams to do maybe field hockey and some other activities that are court-based, not just street hockey. But obviously, Conway Arena's initial goal was to expose kids to the sport of hockey, and we intend to honor that.
Cool. Thank you.
Additional questions, Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you. The only question I have, Mr. Fitzgerald, is I see how all the funding comes together, and maybe this is more a question for you, Mr. Chairman. How are we getting involved? Is it because of the $100,000 from Conway Arena? Is this a grant that we have to accept? What is what's the process here? I'm just unclear on it.
You got a very good question, and I really don't have an answer to that.
Okay.
I can dive into it during business hours
I mean,
tomorrow,
I'll-
or you may if you so wish.
Yeah, okay.
However, I agreed to this presentation because we're all going to see it again
Yeah.
when this comes before the full board. I can't even call for a vote on this this evening.
Right.
This is more very gracious to Mr. Fitzgerald to come in and give us a presentation, brief presentation on it.
Yeah.
And I hope that it gets the full board approval, as I'm sure you agree. Anything that in coordination for the youth of our city to keep them all busy and, everything is a great idea.
Yeah.
But he's up against the winter solstice, so to speak,
The land that the street hockey court is on is city land,
land.
and so it's
Okay,
going
yeah.
to be.
That's right, too. There is a,
City land, yeah.
there is a public recreation, and I don't know where the borderline is with that. Mr. Connet is here. How, do you know off the top of your head, not to put you on the spot, sir, but what is the borderline between the Boys and Girls Club and the park in relationship to this rink?
Good evening. Good evening. I'm the superintendent of the Parks Department, Brian Conant. To answer your question, the skate park that he's talking about is part of the park, which is why he's coming before you.
Okay.
All right?
Thank you.
Correct.
All right, you're welcome.
And what we've agreed to or offered to the mayor and the director of Department of Public Works is we've acquired the funding. We will oversee and manage, obviously with input from Parks and Rec, the full construction of it. And then once it's complete, it would be a gift to the city, with the understanding that we'll run and manage some of the youth sport leagues on the court.
Awesome.
Does that answer all your
Absolutely.
questions, Alderman
100%. I
Sullivan?
just didn't know what we were
Okay,
voting on.
fantastic. And Mr. Conner, thank you for coming and doing a pitch hit and getting on base with that one. Thank you. Okay. Any other questions? All right, Mr. Fitzgerald, thank you so much and for the information and update. And I hope good things being the hockey nut in the future for our kids here. Thank you. Okay, moving on in the agenda, without objection, I'd like to go into recognize Mr. Tim Cummings, Administrative Service Director, and Ms. Liz Hannon, Economic Development Director.
No, Liz is not here.
Not yet.
Not yet?
Nope. If I may,
just you?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay, do you want to come have a seat?
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure.
Please.
Yep.
Ms. Hannon, you tell me when you're coming on board, because script's a little off.
Yeah, no worries, Mr. Chairman. So again, for the record, Tim Cummings, Director of Administrative Services, here before you this evening to do our annual general fund capital project status update. And if I could ask you, Madam Clerk, if you could bring up the PowerPoint presentation, which all of you have a handout of that shows what is now on screen. And the way we've done this the last couple of years is the project sponsor that is intimately involved with the project details comes up and gives you a high-level overview. We take Q&A as you see fit. But this annual overview is very high level. And so if there's an idea or an aspect that you'd like to go into more details, I'd ask that we have a follow-on conversation at another date because, Madam Chair, Madam Clerk, would it be easier if I?
Yes, I was going to ask if you would like these.
Yeah.
Do you want both?
Sure.
You may have to move that screen around.
All right, sorry about that. Is this not working? Okay, there we go. So again, this annual update, we have the project sponsors who are more intimately involved with the project come up, speak in detail. It's supposed to be very high level. Ultimately, if we want to get into more detailed, granular type conversation, I'd ask that we do that at another evening because we have a laundry list of projects to go through. This is just more of a high-level update so we can bring this to your attention because we do have a lot of projects that we have been working on over the last year or more. And with that being said, really trying to do this also in preparation for this ad hoc planning session that we will have going on later on this fall into the winter season. So this is the list that we'll be going over this evening. Everyone will be coming up and speaking either beside me or at the microphone, Ms. Chairman, whatever your pleasure is. And so you can see that we have a little bit of a list here, and so that's why I wanted to kind of give a little bit of an orientation as to what's before us this evening. So first up, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'd ask that Tim Lemire join us. He's the city's owner's project manager. He's going to talk a little bit about the Elm Street parking garages, and he's also involved with the 9 Riverside Training Facility, and we can also talk a little bit about the roof and parking lot for the police department that they have in the queue. Yeah.
No, the,
Yep.
okay, great. Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to give a brief overview to the committee on the Elm Street and High Street parking garages right here. We are sorry, there we go. Okay.
Enter, yeah.
So right now, just want to go over real high-level budget projections of the 4 phases. And as you can see, the top emergency repairs project was completed in the winter, and that is not funded as part of the $15 million bond. And we have 3 phases that are the ongoing structural repair work in High Street and Elm Street that's going on right now. Upcoming, we have the Elm Street office renovation, and that is currently in design. And upcoming is a facade and wayfinding project that is, design is going to kick off this fall. And we are, as I said,
You gotta go back up.
sorry, I'm going the wrong way.
Yep.
There we go.
Keep going. Keep going.
There, okay, great. And here's the current phasing as discussed, and with the budgets per phase right now as we currently have it. And that leaves us on track for the $15 million bond that's currently approved. And this is just some examples of each phase. So this is the emergency repairs project over the winter with joint and masonry wall replacement. That was completed in March.
And right now, ongoing for the structural repairs work in High Street and Elm Street, we are doing deferred structural repairs, drainage repairs, and upcoming this spring, we'll have some gating systems and MEP work taking place. And here's some pictures, one on the left from Elm Street, one on the right from High Street, and these are the repairs that are ongoing. These are pictures from this week's construction. And Phase 2, the office renovation, and this is just a schematic layout of the ticketing counter that's currently in place at the Elm Street garage on the north entrance, and we will be expanding that to have a little bit more of a safe platform area for parking, as right now, if you recall, everyone's kind of up against that side rail there. So this is just a schematic of that new layout at the north entrance. And we went over the project budgets, and that's the Elm Street.
Yep, so relative to the Elmenheim Street Garage, so that project is underway now. This body may not be as familiar with that project, so one of the things I was going to suggest, Mr. Chairman, is maybe once a quarter, you know, whatever the pleasure may be, Tim Lemire, the owner project manager, come before the Committee on Infrastructure and provide you updates. This project does not go through a joint committee process, and so any changes relative to contracts actually goes to the Finance Committee. And so I say that to you because I believe whether it's this upcoming Finance Committee or another Finance Committee, in September, you're going to see a couple contract amendments before the Finance Committee body, but I think the Infrastructure Committee would behoove you to be aware of it as well. So we are well underway with this project. We're on time, we're on budget, but nonetheless defer to you, Mr. Chairman, and the committee as to what you'd like to see in terms of additional details in the future.
I'll have to say with myself, I'd be very interested, Mr. Lemire, if you can come to some of the meetings, and I think we could schedule this through you, Mr. Cummings.
Absolutely, yep.
When do you think it's appropriate and stuff like that? Unfortunately, this is like one hand not knowing what our good friends over in finance are doing over there, you know what I mean? Some of us are on two committees. Any committee member on finance? Okay, we're gonna need you, okay.
Me too.
You too, okay, you both, I designate you
I'm
both
the
of
vice chair
our
of finance.
liaisons and everything to that. But yeah, that would keep us all under one banner marching in the same direction. That would be outstanding. Alderman Dowd, please.
Just two quick questions. I've had some people talk to me about, they see that they have the temporary beams holding up the floor above, and they're wondering whether the place is safe. Can you just address why those temporaries are there and when they get replaced with something solid?
What's typical, Mr. Chairman, in parking garage repairs is the temporary shoring that is visible to the public is built from the ground floor vertically upwards, so that's why the contractor effectively works in vertical columns as they go through the building, and what that ensures is that they stabilize the building vertically where their repair areas are, and they perform the work opposite from the top down, so they're never adding additional loading to those bottom floors until every floor above is totally repaired, and then they can remove shoring as they work their way back down. So the shoring is specifically designed according to the work procedures.
Yeah, the other thing, I agree on the more frequent meetings. I, for one, would be curious as to what percentage of the project is done versus the cost, and where we are continually on a cost basis relative to the amount of money, and see if we have anything left over when we're done.
Yeah, that'd be great. We can certainly bring those updates quarterly.
That'd be great.
Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you. And I'm going to ask this question on every project. You're into the project now, whatever percentage. What surprises have you found so far that you weren't expecting?
In this project in particular, and we will be bringing this to finance in the near future, is hazardous materials tested positive in both Elm and High Street parking garages. This was a little bit surprising because both structures were built seemingly right after we would typically expect lead paint and hazardous caulking in some of the concrete joints. But we did test positive for those, and we do have a remediation plan from our contractor that we need to fund.
Okay. So you think that'll be in addition?
Oh, it certainly will be, because the contractor had no opportunity to bid on hazardous materials remediation.
Okay.
Based on what we found in our study maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah. Okay.
With that being said, it's within the total project. It's just maybe more than what the contract anticipated.
Follow-up?
Contingency?
Correct.
Correct.
Alderman Dowd?
Yeah, and again, 2 quick questions. One thing I think we need to do for the public is tell the public that even though those materials, they're not threatening to the public. They are embedded in the material, and we're taking them out and replacing them with non-hazardous material. Also, based on the age of the building, were the beams covered with any kind of fire retardant insulation that might be hot?
No, they're not covered with any fireproofing, and I believe that's even per current code.
Okay. Yep.
Okay, any other questions? Because, Chair, I do have one. It seems we have 2 parking garages that got this bad because of neglect over the years. And at the completion of your project, will you give us a recommendation when we should very seriously, make a plan of deferred maintenance in the future? So maybe futuristic boards won't fall into the rabbit hole that past boards did here.
Yeah, and Mr. Chairman, that's a great question, and one of the things we're doing to assist with that is our construction contractor is tracking not just as-built of where they are making repairs right now, but they're tracking areas that we putting on watch and coming up with a maintenance plan for parts of the structure that are an acceptable quality right now, but maybe in 5 to 10 years might need some maintenance. So we are tracking that.
If you could give that to Mr. Cummings as well, he's going to be here forever, you know what I mean?
Good.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I also note that our designer, Thornton Tomasetti, did an assessment. A couple years ago, they recommended that annually the city of Nashua on these parking garages spend about $100,000 on deferred capital maintenance to be able to maintain these projects after we do the bonding. So we will revisit that because that figure is a little old. That came out a couple years ago. But yes, we should be within our operational budget. I would recommend putting some deferred capital maintenance money into our operational budgets, which we could do annually and then either set aside in some sort of capital reserve or bond or spend alike, whatever the pleasure of the committee may be. But it is definitely something that we're going to need to do to be able to maintain these assets.
Very well stated, because as chairman of the committee and also on the budget committee, my friend Alderman Dowd, we always get hit with this. If it isn't the parking garages, it's another. It's the Hunt Building, it's something else. Fire stations with leaky roofs, and so we need to do something better. Thank you. Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, so Director Cummings, you had put forth that you were thinking of developing a group that would maintain city buildings and have someone oversee them, much like Sean Smith does for all the school buildings. And the deferred maintenance account ought to cover all of the buildings and be allocated by whatever your long-term deferred maintenance schedule is for all city buildings.
Agreed, Mr. Chairman. I think we need to kind of have a little bit more conversation on this because it goes hand in glove with whether we're ever going to move towards an enterprise fund. And so I think, that question needs to be answered first, and then we can build out accordingly. But yes, point well taken.
All right, well, I know we have a lot on the presentation this evening, so I would like to keep going. But Alderman Dowd, if you're satisfied, we'll make that a conversation for a later date. Then, thank you. Mr. Cummings, can you continue, please?
Yes, thank you. So next up is the Nine Riverside Police Training Facility. Tim Lemire is here on behalf of this project as well. This does fall under the joint committee, so you may all be a little bit more familiar with this project, so I don't think we need to go into as great a detail, but nonetheless, it is an active capital project, so I wanted Mr. Lemire to just make a few comments.
Great, and thanks again, and we'll just get right into the 9 Riverside renovation project over for the Nashua PD. Right now, this project is also under active construction, and it has a few different elements with some earthwork that's nearly complete, some structural construction of a new police garage that is now standing, and we have some interior renovations that are about halfway done, and we are just getting started on some security and electrical upgrades, part fencing, part cameras inside the building. So that work's just getting underway. We are on track to finish on time in December of this year. Just a quick glimpse of the overall budget for this project. We currently have a GMP with Whiting Turner that's at about 47% complete, which is on target with the project progress. We have, and just going down a couple lines, 3.3 million budgeted through construction, and right now 2.7 of that is already has been issued in POs. So as you can see by the bottom bullet, there's still some items being scoped as part of this project that have not been scoped or under contract yet.
And so to that point, two priority projects for the police department, as you may know, is the parking lot, refurbishing of the parking lot and is their roof. And so looking to be as efficient as possible and try to be as timely as possible, looking to explore whether we can start the design of the parking station. Of the parking lot. I don't believe we would be able to do construction at this time without an additional monies, but nonetheless, we will be further ahead in understanding what the total project cost would be for that. We do have money set aside for a police roof, and they are eagerly wishing to get that done as quickly as possible, very similar to our fire department. So they are working with Whiting Turner to try to get that done before the snow hits this winter, and we're working actively to try to make that happen.
Very good. Any other questions on the police training facility? Alderman Dowd.
Just curious, have they gone out with RFPs for the roof?
So they are going to utilize Whiting Turner's existing contract, and Whiting Turner is going to solicit 3 quotes and get quotes to ensure that we get a competitive price.
All right.
Alderman Theobald.
I remember the roof was an add-on thing, and the generator was an add-on. I thought the parking lot was always part of the plan as it's been.
As a design, yes. And so we wanted to.
Not as a completed project.
Not as a completed project, but if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, you may.
It was always anticipated that we would do the design in this project. So yes, that was always contemplated. We wanted to wait, though, until we got through a certain part of the construction before we actually moved forward with that, just to be very conservative. God forbid, something unknown came up. We would then obviously pivot if needed with those monies that were set aside, but it's looking as though that's not the case now. And so we're just following plan at this point.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, all set with the police presentation?
Yep.
Okay. Can I introduce or call up Chief Pouliot? 'Cause
I'll also note that I believe Chief Buxton's here as
Yes,
well.
I
I
was gonna
apologize. I should have included him on the slide here.
No, I don't think he minds too much, hopefully. Both are welcome. Please come up and grab a seat, please. Who's going to lead off? You, Director Cummings, or Chief Pouliot?
Chief Pouliot, yep, no, absolutely.
All right, Chief. Once you get acclimated, all set, please start.
All right. So Adam Pliot, one of the assistant chiefs here at National Fire Rescue. So just give you an update with the initial round of funding that we've gotten for HVAC projects. We're focusing on systems that are currently not functioning. So what we've completed so far is AC work at our Spitbrook Road Station. We had 2 rooftop units that were identified in our building condition assessment survey as being at end of life, and they were spot on because one of them failed to operate late spring, and our service contractor determined that it was not repairable. So that unit covered the first floor of the firehouse, and while we were waiting for funding, we've just been using window units, which, as we know, aren't very efficient. So we got the funding, and we replaced both rooftop units. So that project is done, and they're nice and comfortable down there. The second project is underway right now, and that's at our Conant Road Station, Station 6. And that is, again, AC for the second floor for the living areas, sleeping areas. The unit that supplied AC for that floor, undersized. So while that unit runs 24 hours a day, they also supplement it with window air conditioners. So as you can imagine, our energy use at that station is much higher than our larger stations. So that project's underway right now. Denron Hall is doing the work. They're putting those energy efficient mini split systems up there. That work should be done in a couple of weeks. I'll be coming to finance on I believe the 17th for approval to fix the heating system at our fire alarm dispatch center. That building currently does not have a functioning heating system. The boiler died in the spring. They noticed that it kept shutting off, had the service contractor come out and check on it. They were measuring 10,000 parts per million of carbon monoxide in the basement. So a little bit of exploratory work discovered that the housing has cracked in multiple places. It's not repairable. So we got pricing for, to basically replace in kind, and we got pricing to replace with a high efficiency unit. So the price for a high efficiency unit is about $8,000 more, but we improved to 98% efficiency versus 86. So I feel like it's a better deal. So that's what we're asking to move forwards with at finance on the 17th. And that new boiler will also eliminate the gas-fired water heater in that building, and it will do indirect fired hot water storage off the boiler. So again, it will improve our efficiency. And other projects in the pipeline after these 2 are done, we need to look at replacing our building controls at both the Lake Street Fire Station and the East Hollow Street Fire Station. The ones at Lake Street operate, I guess I could say, barely. Johnson Controls is at the station on a fairly regular basis, making adjustments, tweaking things, trying to keep things working. Our building controls over East Hollow Street have failed completely. And when I say failed completely, we have situations where in the same space, the heat will be running and the AC will be on at the same time. So we have to go through the baseboards and manually close valves to shut the heat off. So again, our energy use at that building is probably much higher than it should be. So those would be the next 2 significant repairs to be made. And then once we get more funding, we've got air handlers at Station 1 to replace, and we need to tie building controls in to all that new equipment. The boiler at Station 1 also needs to be replaced. And we've got the air handlers at our dispatch center that need to be replaced, and we currently don't have any functioning building controls there as well.
I have one question. I see on the replace hydronic piping in Station 4, wrong pipe schedule? L, is it, are you familiar with the L, M, K, all the different various of copper? L is,
Oh, this is the larger cast pipe. It's,
well, what I'm
it's like
getting
Schedule
to,
10, and it shouldn't be. It should be much higher. So we have pipe that has eroded. We've done repairs over numerous sections of piping.
well, what I was going to is basically, station is still, how many years? 15 years, maybe?
Built 2006, so
Yeah,
19, 20 years old.
19 years. Did that fail prematurely? I mean, did we get gypped when we built it?
No, our service contractor said that the pipe schedule size is not correct. And one of the other issues that he notices in our forced hot water system, our hydronic system, is that the water chemistry is way off.
Oh,
And that's, again, that's,
I remember
requires-
draining and it was coming out black. Yeah.
you know, there is a chem pot on that system, but it requires somebody that knows
Yeah.
how to maintain it. And again, it's an annual expense. And as money gets tight, we
Okay.
fix what we can. We do preventive maintenance on the items that we can, and, you know, we do the best we can.
Well, if 15 years, I don't think we can get anything, if the wrong schedule and piping was used or anything. Yeah, okay.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to use this opportunity to get on my soapbox to talk about two things. One, this is a good example of why, now that we've got the facility assessment done for the fire assets, we start to get into the habit of programming some deferred capital maintenance money in the ad hoc committee that you're going to see coming up in the fall, winter timeframe that I've been talking about. It's open to conversation as to whether we look to do 10 million bond authorization over a 5-year period, or whether we authorize 5.5 or 2 million annually, understanding that we'll be spending that. We need to kind of have that conversation, but the point is that over the next 5 years, 10 years, we should be building in some deferred capital maintenance money to fix these problems and others that have been identified. And I'm just telegraphing for you all that that's something that you should be planning to see during the ad hoc process. Second, sorry, Mr. Chairman.
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, so second to that, that is separate and apart from trying to get into the habit of preventative maintenance. And this goes to something that Alderman Dowd spoke a second ago about, which is something I've been talking about, is getting a group together within the city to look at preventative maintenance on all of our assets to eke out as much efficiency in those buildings. It's something that I'll be looking to propose in the FY27 operational budget. So, thank you.
Yeah, I would like to have that conversation. Maybe we can build an offshoot off infrastructure, since we're fixing a lot of past work of dropping the ball here. Okay, thank you, Mr. Cummings. Alderman Dowd and then Alderman Cleve,
Yeah,
please.
just two quick things. I agree with what you just said, Director Cummings, and and the one question I have, that's aside from the deferred maintenance bonding that we put together for starting in '29 for the schools, right?
Correct.
Separate. Okay, that's good. The other thing is, with the assessment study you guys just got, chiefs, has any action been taken to repair the floor at Station 1's Amherst Street, right?
Correct.
Anything done with the flooring in that building yet? And is the plan to retain that building long-term? I know the alternatives are out there a ways, so I assume it's going to be, but we talked about potential of moving one of the trucks if we get another station out off of Amherst Street. So I'm just curious as to, if we're doing this high-back maintenance, have they done the, assessed that they can fix the floor in that building? And
We have not put any money into fixing the floor yet. The last assessment was it's still safe for the trucks to be there and operate. Yes, our plan is to keep that station long-term. We're hoping to alleviate some of the use of it by potentially relocating the ladder truck out of that if we are able to get a new station out on Pine Hill. So there's a lot of moving parts to kind of make that work.
And to that part, so originally, you're right, Alderman Dowd, the thought was maybe is one of the first priority projects would be the floor, but we learned through the study that the floor, as Assistant Chief Pouliot just mentioned, wasn't as dire, so we were able to look at the roof repair. And so this would probably be a good opportunity to talk about the effort that's going on now, which was originally thought to be the Amherst Street floor. Now we're going to be talking about the roof monies.
Well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we've identified 4 stations that need complete roof replacements and one that will need a significant repair. We've prioritized which ones need to be done first. A couple weeks ago, I did a tour of all 5 of those facilities with Whiting Turner and one of the roofing contractors to take photos, look at the sites, take some notes, gather some information, and we're just waiting on pricing to come back to see what we can do. The worst of the buildings is Station 6, and that's the one at Two Conant Road. Also houses our mechanic shop, and we are hoping to get that one done before inclement weather comes.
Yeah, that's been leaking for a while.
Yep, that's been probably 14, 15 years on the docket to get replaced. And that's a situation where we have ceiling tiles permanently removed from the ceiling grid, and we have buckets set up to collect the rainwater every time it rains, and this is inside the living space. So this is absolute priority. It's the first one that will need to be done.
Want to pivot and talk a little bit about the Pine Hill Station feasibility study?
Well, we do have 2 in the queue for questions, if I may. Alderman Clee?
Thank you. I just have 2 kind of quick questions. First, you talked about the 2 items that were going to finance. You said one was going on the 3rd of September, one was going on the 17th. May I ask why the one that's going on the 17th can't be done on the 3rd? Are we waiting for bids to come back?
I was waiting for quotes to come back, and I didn't meet the deadline to get on the agenda.
Okay, that's fine. I just was curious why we were kind of seeing, we know it has to be on there, why it was waiting so long. The other thing is you made some comment about the hydronic piping, and you were saying something about the water chemistry, and you said that sometimes things kind of go by the wayside because monies and so on. In the past, have we had a private contract with it, or was that done in-house to monitor that?
We tried to find a HVAC provider that would give us an annual contract, and for a number of years, it was a different company every year. We have found a contractor that we've been using for the last few years that is working out well for us. When we have an issue and we call, they give us, we're a fire department, so they give us priority. They will drop other work to get to us, and they give us very good pricing. And they allow us to just do a 1-year service agreement versus a long-term contract. And that service agreement is up, and that's what I'll be coming to on the 3rd to speak on, to renew their service agreement.
May I follow up?
Yes, you may.
Okay. This is probably more for finance than for here, but would we be better off? Would it be cheaper to go with a long-term contract, or is it that we just don't want to commit for that?
I don't think it would be any cheaper.
Okay.
And they have locked in the hourly rate that they charge us for service repairs and have not gone up in 3 years.
Okay.
So they've, yes.
Yeah, I know. I was just about
They've
ready to
treated us
do
very
that.
well.
I had the fifth then. Thank you so much. I appreciate both those questions. Thank you.
Alderman Thibodeau?
Thank you. On the next up slide, are any of those bullet items fall under the approved funding that's happened so far? Those all require additional funding?
No, I think the building controls for both Lake Street and East Hall Street, I think we'll be able to accomplish those with the funding that's already been provided.
Okay.
Everything after that will require additional funds.
So the top 2 hopefully fall under that. The additional items would be additional.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, carry on.
Thank you.
Dr. Cummings?
You want me to take Pine Hill Station? Sure. You want to do it?
I'll let you do it.
All right, so I'll just very quickly give everyone a quick update on the Pine Hill Station feasibility study. This is a study that we are conducting to do some additional due diligence to arrive at what is referred to often as a preferred alternative, which is something that gives us confidence to move forward with a certain level of design. I believe we have so we have a program and a concept vetted out in terms of a layout. We need to ensure we have the right land in the area around it. There has been some initial conversations with the airport. We will start to engage more actively with all stakeholders and abutters and make sure that we understand what the community sentiments are. That is anticipated to happen over the fall. While we're doing that, we will also do some additional testing and inspection and meet with various entities, including the planning and city engineering departments, to talk about what this site may need to have in terms of infrastructure upgrades. We'll be doing all that initial investigation in preparation to go forward with a design. And so this is monies that was already approved for approximately $100,000. We are under contract, we are underway, and we will be providing updates to the Fire Commission at their regularly scheduled meetings. We anticipate this project wrapping up just after the first of the year, which would put us in good stead for the budget season in the spring.
Alderman Dow.
Yeah, I know when I talked to the airport authority, when we said something about moving the station, they almost panicked. We had talked once about seeing if there was any federal money, because right now there's no federal money, but federal money because you are supporting the airport as well as that area of the city. And as we've seen lately, there's been a lot of small plane accidents and not here, but other places, and it's important to have a fire truck right there. So, to me, the federal government ought to be pitching something in. And I know some of your alternatives for moving the station to another site on the airport, and I think those are very viable. So, any support that you need, let me know. I was on the airport authority for a long time.
Thank you. So again, this project's in the early stages, but I believe at some point in the fall, we'll be coming back before this body to kind of have a little bit more in-depth conversation as we continue to vet it out.
Yeah, and I happen to know the captain of the house of the airport station, who would be very interested in all this. Alderman Dow.
Yeah, by the way, nobody wants a fire station across them until they have a fire. So you have to temper the discussion with the neighborhood, then there are certain noise associated with getting a fire truck out of the station safely, so.
And to that point, there's a station already there. So we're just kind of talking about really kind of moving it a little bit to be able to accommodate some of the programming that is being anticipated. We're focusing on the airport, but I think it's also probably a good time to talk about emergency management as well. And, if there's a way we can incorporate some emergency management type programming into this, there also may be some federal funding through that as well. So we'll be looking at all those things, and that's the type of conversation we'll be having over the next 6 months or so. So we'll be very clear in what the project is when we start design.
Right, so it is interesting in dealing with neighbors. People who move in next to the airport and then complain about the airport noise, doesn't fly. Use a pun.
No pun.
And the other thing I wanted to say before you guys step down, you guys did an amazing job on 24 Spindle. That was a hell of a fire, and you guys responded exceptionally well. People need to know that we have an outstanding fire department, and it's when they need them, you're there. So, thanks.
I just responded to one on Lock Street, too, so I appreciate that one as well.
Very busy.
Very busy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You want to move on?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So I'm going to quickly give the library update. Library Director Jennifer McCormick
Thank you,
is
gentlemen.
on vacation. And so I just didn't want to leave this project out. I think it's an important project just to kind of keep in the back of folks' mind as the library is actively working on trying to develop a plan for their future. There's a feasibility study that I believe is either wrapped up or is wrapping up as we speak, and that is going to put them in good stead to start designing. They have design monies available to them. They wanted to get through this exercise before they started designing. And I anticipate the library director coming before you over the coming months to provide you an update. I believe you all participated in the feasibility study conversation that happened more recently, but as we start the design conversation, I believe she will be giving you all an update on that. But I just wanted to kind of tease this out as something that's on the horizon so folks didn't forget about it. So with that being said, going to transition into some admin services projects. And Amy DeRoche was going to be here this evening. Unfortunately, she called me last minute to tell me that she wasn't going to be able to make it. So unfortunately, you're left with me. And I'll do the best that I can. I can't speak to all these projects in detail. We also have Jennifer Deshays, the risk manager here in the city, who could talk about some of these items as well. I planned this evening, or originally Ms. DeRoche this evening was going to talk a little bit about 14 Court Street at the Hunt Building and the City Hall HVAC, but of course I also wanted to just remind folks about the Arlington Street Community Center and tell you about the elevator repair here in City Hall. So first and foremost, before I get into some of the building projects, I just wanted to note for the record that two capital projects that were priority projects over the last couple of years have been ongoing and have been completed. One is the storage backup disaster recovery site. You may have heard this in passing. Not sure that you ever knew officially, but that project has finished and we are up and running. We do have a backup disaster recovery site. No, I cannot tell you where that is, but you know, it was a priority project that rose to the top during COVID for obvious reasons, and we were able to get that accomplished. That just wrapped up in 2024. More recently, the IT department asked for some monies to update our Chronos time clocks. That is underway, and we anticipate that project being completed this fall in a November time frame. So with that being said, Hunt Memorial Building renovations, it's a two-phase project. Phase 1 is complete and anticipate moving into Phase 2 this fall. Looks like we will be starting in September, and it's really going to be focusing on the windows and the window installation. So that is a project that has been coming together for a few years now. I'm pleased to say that is well underway now for construction, and I believe, and I need to check what I'm about to say, I hate when I do something like this, I believe this project will wrap up before the end of the year. So it's a Phase 2, it's starting in the fall, but I don't anticipate it going into the spring. I think it will wrap up sometime this winter, so it's a short phase. So I will confirm what I'm saying to you, but that is my recollection. Relative to City Hall upgrades, so this is a project relative to where we're at with City Hall. We want to eliminate 2 natural gas-fired steam boilers. We want to improve and introduce some new HVAC systems for us. 40% of the building is on steam. It's the original system. We need to move on because it is well beyond its end of life. We have gotten through design. We have selected a construction manager. I believe the project will start construction sometime this fall with a goal of wrapping up before the snow hits us. So we are on schedule and we are on budget for this project. And I know this is a priority project because we really want to get the HVAC upgrades up and running before the cold season hits us this year. So we have been working that project through this spring and summer, and I'm glad to be able to report that we'll be starting construction this fall. With that being said, that needs a finance committee contract approval still. I should say that, and I believe that's teed up for a September meeting.
Quickly, Mr. Cummings, do you anticipate City Hall to be closed due to weather because of lack of heat here or anything? Maybe a couple of days interruption?
We're trying to avoid that as much as possible, Mr. Chairman. We don't want to interrupt the operations of the city, so we're working around that. And that's one of the reasons why we're trying to get this done before the winter really begins, because I don't want to run the risk of, from a code perspective, the building code, if we don't maintain this building a certain way, not that I believe this would happen, but, you know, there's always that potential that we would be ordered to shut down. So
Right.
that's why we need to make sure that this project gets done as quickly as possible.
Exactly. Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. More to the Hunt Building, because it seems like the other two really haven't started. You've just been designing. Surprises on that project that you've uncovered?
You know what, I'm going to have to get back to you on whether there are any real material surprises. None have been brought to my attention to date, but I will follow up with you.
Okay, thanks.
Alderman Clay.
Thank you. I don't know if I may, I don't know if they were surprises, but I do know that as the project went on, when they would look at certain things, like when they were looking up the stack and so on, they came across different issues that they weren't expecting through it. That came through finance and so on, so they had to increase. So there were a number of things that it wasn't until they actually got into it that they did see. So I believe there were a number of surprises with this one. They couldn't see it until they got behind something.
Sure.
So there were a number of things, and I remember the smokestack was one of them.
Right, so if I may, Mr. Chairman, on that one in particular, there was like a 40-foot pole that no one knew about that was in the chimney that needed to be removed. And that's a good example. Now, I wouldn't say that was a material thing, so that was why I wasn't necessarily thinking of it, but that was absolutely unknown. Another unknown, believe it or not, is they demoed a wall and they found a room that they did not know was there. That's awesome. So, very, very interesting dynamic. They were able to, so that was a surprise as well. Again, not necessarily a material change to the contract per se, but there has definitely been a lot that has occurred relative to this renovation.
Nobody buried in it, though, right?
Not that I'm aware of. That would be quite the hazardous material removal.
Yes.
Yeah. Switching gears, Mr. Chairman, just quick update on 14 Court Street. You know, we're doing this strategic study. That has been completed. I'd like to have the consultant who did the work come before the Infrastructure Committee, give an update. We also got some cost estimates done to tell us what it would take if we wanted to endeavor to improve 14 Court Street. Wanted to provide that information to you all so you had it so you could make your decisions as to what you'd like to do. But I did want to quickly tease out there that study has been done, and we are looking for an opportunity to provide you details at an upcoming Infrastructure Committee meeting. Relative to the City Hall elevator, I'm sorry, I just want to make sure I got this right. The City Hall elevator is a project that we've started to set some money aside for. We started working on that project. Just so everyone is aware, when we started getting quotes and starting talking to contractors, the monies were higher than we actually had available to us. So to be able to start the project, we're going to need some additional funding. I can't tell you right now how much that additional funding is, but we will work towards getting that and try to improve the elevator here at City Hall sometime this year. But we haven't started on that project because when we got our initial quotes, they just came in over budget.
Okay. Alderman Dowd.
As Alderman Sullivan can also concur, we just had elevator repairs at 2 schools, and when you upgrade elevators, there's a lot involved because the requirements for elevators today are much more stringent than in the past. So it cost us a lot of money to upgrade, for instance, the elevator that failed at Main Dunstable, and it's completed now. And by the way, there's a monopoly on elevator companies. There's only one, so.
I concur.
So if I may, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask the DPW team to come up. They're here this evening. They can talk a little bit about some of their projects. And as they're coming up, I just want to make sure folks know officially that we have finished the renovation of the Arlington Street Community Center. That's something that you may have heard about along the way. There was a ribbon cutting last year around this time. But nonetheless, wanted to make sure I noted that for the record.
Hey, welcome City Engineer Dan Hudson and Park and Recreations Director, Mr. Corner. Thank you. When you first speak, could you just give your names so that it can get transcribed appropriately?
So we have a few projects here, Mr. Chairman. I'm going to kick it off to give you a quick update on the garage fleet maintenance facility project, then hand it over to the superintendent, and then we can have our city engineer close it out. So with that being said, just want to make sure folks know that we are actively designing the fleet maintenance facility. This is in addition to the administrative office building, which is right here. That is the administrative office building. We are looking to finish design on this fleet and maintenance facility. It is currently in design development, so we're about halfway through design. We would like to continue designing and get this completely designed for the spring so we could start construction sometime late spring, early summer. That is the timeline that we've been working toward. The next big things we will be doing is starting the permitting of this project. That permitting is going to happen throughout the fall as we finish up design and put us in good stead to be able to seek a bond authorization and also start construction if that is the pleasure of the body. This is before the joint committee, so you should be pretty familiar with this project, but I did want to note it for the record more than anything else. Happy to take any questions on this before I hand it over.
Alderman Dow.
Yeah, just one thing, when the fire department was here, we didn't address the new fire training center.
Yep. So if you want, Mr. Chairman, I can quickly talk to that right now. So, yep, so part of this project is there's a police training facility, kind of where my arrow is right here, and they are relocating to another area within the landfill grounds. That is something that is being actively worked on, and again, it's something that we're going to need to do over the next 6 to 9 months or so to be able to put us in good stead to be able to start construction. The fire department and the DPW have been actively working on that project, and I believe that that will be under construction in earnest come this spring. All right, with that being said, I'm going to hand it over to Superintendent.
Please.
Thank you. Brian Conant, Superintendent of the Parks Department. To give you an update on the Holman Stadium, we will be going in front of the Board of Public Works tomorrow. We've got a materials and installation number to replace the lights over there that came in at $815,000. Afterwards, we're working on and going out to bid shortly to upgrade the fire suppression system there. Then from there, I'd like to do the seating bowl, and I'd like to take care of the corrosion underneath the grandstands. Those are the 4 big ticket items I'd like to accomplish. Be happy to answer any questions on Holman Stadium if there are any.
Alderman Sullivan.
Surprises you found?
With the lights, the foundations were a little bit more cracked than we thought they were. I think, we haven't gotten too far into it yet, Alderman Sullivan. So, the surprises haven't been too many yet, so to answer your question.
Okay, I think we're good with Holman.
Okay. The Greeley Park Stonehouse, the renovations to this are well underway. I believe the new concrete flooring will be poured next week. As you can see, the old pipes in the pictures there have been totally removed. New piping has been put in, new conduit, so the telephone poles won't be in front of the Stonehouse. Unfortunately, there was a delay in the terracotta tiles. They were supposed to be in by now. They've actually pegged to come in October, I believe. So that was a little hiccup. Other than that, it's been going pretty smooth, and we've been happy with the work. Other improvements that are going to go on at Greeley Park in the beginning of October, the band shell renovations are going to start. We did go out to bid for the demo and renovation of the wading pool. After receiving those numbers, it was deemed that we could have some cost savings by doing it in-house. So that's the route we're going to take with demoing and replacing the wading pool. I'd be happy to answer any questions on Greeley Park.
Alderman Clay.
Thank you. The band shell, did you say that was October?
Yes, in the beginning of October. We're
And-
hoping to get that done within about a 2-week period. So that's our goal.
Follow up?
Yes, please, thank you. So the, just refresh my memory as to the band shell, is it the, God, my brain, it's the wooden panels and all of that, that'll be replaced?
Yes, Alderman Clee, the roof will be replaced, the wooden panels will be replaced, the structure itself will be repainted, and the concrete stage itself and the pillars will be resealed as well, cleaned and resealed.
One quick follow. It will not include any of the speakers or anything like that? It's just the physical aspect of the band shell?
Just the
correct?
physical aspect. The speakers were actually replaced 2 years ago. So,
If I may, just a little off topic, the only reason I asked was because I'd heard that recently we've been having a little bit of troubles with them, so I didn't know if that was an issue, so.
I think what the issue is sometimes people come in and all the music gets amplified through those speakers because we don't allow other speaker systems to be used there, and I think that's the issue. Sometimes we just are trying to put too much through the speakers and the sound gets diluted.
Thank you, thank you.
Quick question on that, speakers and everything. We okay with the decibel level? Do we need to go up, or is it status quo there? Is it affecting our renting?
This one goes to 11.
I mean, is it hurting us from people using? Why invest money into it if we can't use it?
Do not go up.
Can I plead the fifth on that?
Well, it is a public facility.
We have an update we need to give you on the epoxy.
Yeah, let's do that. I'll form my flag on the other issue.
So this is exciting too. All 3 of the pool locations, the locker room facilities, will have new epoxy flooring putting in them. We've started actually demoing, well, not demoing, taking out the toilets, the bathroom partitions at Centennial Pool. We'll be meeting with the vendor on Friday just to kind of go over everything. And this project, this did go out to bid and it was awarded. So I think this should run pretty smoothly. So this will be done by the end of this fall. So be happy to answer any questions on the epoxy flooring in the pools.
Alderman Sullivan.
Unrelated but related. Summer is over. How'd they do? How'd the pools do this year?
The 2 out of the 3 pools will need some attention here shortly, to be honest with you, Alderman Sullivan. The Centennial Pool, a new liner was installed in that in 2014. Up until then, the steel wall plates in that pool were scraped, sanded, and painted every year. The liner has started to bubble off those steel plates. In talking to the vendor who put the liner in back in 2014, he suggested that was a Band-Aid back then. So I think we're going to need some attention to that shortly. I don't have a crystal ball, so I don't know when end of life will be. But that is problematic. And there's some issues over at Rotary Pool as well. Crown Hill seems to be in pretty good shape.
So to that point, Mr. Chairman, this is a good teaser for you. Director Photo has also recently given me a heads up that this might be a new project that you see during the ad hoc committee process.
Alderman Dowd.
Well, we have Brian captured. Brian and Sean and I just went over the status at Stella Stadium some minor things being finished up. The 5-year guaranteed painting is going on right now, and sometimes it looks like they're using an artist brush rather than but it's moving along. And basically, all the other things I think are finishing up smartly, and the last thing will be changing the lights underneath the, where the painting's going on right now, and the goal is to have everything completed at Stella's by the first game on the 5th of September. You got anything you want to add, Brian, or?
No, you about summed it up.
Okay. If it's your pleasure, we'll move on to some
on.
citywide transportation projects?
Yes.
Okay, good evening, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. So, first project here is Taylor Falls and Veterans Bridges rehab. It's well under construction, as everybody I'm sure knows. The westbound bridge has been paved. They're still doing some work underneath the bridge, but the top surface is pretty much done. They do have to make some guardrail repairs as well. Eastbound bridge is under construction. They're going to be doing membrane work and paving next week, so pretty soon we'll have 2 lanes back on that bridge, except for some daily closures where needed for similar work, some work underneath and guardrail work and that sort of thing. So that one's moving along.
And this is a joint project with Hudson?
Yeah, thank you. Yes, this is a joint project with Hudson and the Department of Transportation, who is funding 80%. We are 20% local project match is split 50-50 with Hudson. So 10 cents on the dollar for us to rehab these bridges. In terms of surprises, we found a number of them on these bridges, but luckily none that were critical, similar to some of the other projects. Found some guardrail anchors have been welded to some rebar, which is not really what you want to do. The condition of the decks, we found a lot more partial depth repairs needed than we anticipated, but that was offset by the fact that we didn't have as much full depth deck repairs as we anticipated. So cost is kind of washing on that, which is good, but there's always surprises in construction. Next slide. These other projects are in the planning and design stages. So Heritage Rail Trail East, it's going to run along the rail corridor from Main Street to the Henry Hangar building there by Denton Street. We're as I said, we're in design. We're in final design actually. Soon to go into right away. Planning to advertise this winter for construction next year. Next project. Walnut Street Oval is also advancing through design. We're in the final design on that one as well. We hope to get to advertisement by spring of next year. This project improves safety for bicycles, pedestrians, while maintaining vehicular access. As I explained when we came through an updated municipal agreement or project agreement with DOT, we have broken out an advanced child project, and that was so that we could encumber some earmarked funding that otherwise we would have lost if we hadn't done that. So we're actually going to be bidding out 2 projects. This child project is about a $500,000 project, which involves reversing West Pearl Street, making some changes on Factory Street, and then modifying the signals at Main Street. All work that could be done within the right-of-way. And then the main project will follow after and include the rest of the work you see on this slide. Mr. Chair, we have questions if we want to. I saw a hand up if we want to take questions.
Thank you. It's not up there, but I know we voted on this. Water Street, when does that change direction?
So that's a good question. Yes, the board did approve making that a one-way from Main Street to Factory Street. We had advanced that, anticipating that we would be doing the Water Street Bridge rehab. The scope of that project's kind of grown beyond what we have currently for funding. And then we have the active reconstruction work down there at the riverfront. So it just hasn't felt quite the right time to make that the one-way pattern, but that is in the plan. And we'll have to figure out what the timing of that should be.
Okay. So it's going to happen, you just don't.
It's not imminent. But
No,
it
it's
is
going to happen. We just have to, yeah, it wasn't imminent. And with these other projects going on, we want to remain flexible in terms of managing traffic during construction. So we were a little reluctant to implement a pattern that we might have to modify to accommodate construction phase of traffic control. So we've kind of slow rolled down a little bit, I'd say, but we are aware that that's approved and that will happen eventually.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next project I'll cover here is the East Hollow Street Gateway Project at the intersection of East Hollow Street and Bridge Street. We had more of a circular design previously. The preferred alternatives be changed to basically replicate the existing layout, which is the most efficient for traffic flow-wise. That was done because some asbestos was found throughout the intersection area, so the costs were kind of ballooning out of control, trying to implement that other design. This keeping the roadways, or the improvements basically on existing alignment, minimizes that type of issue. The project involves widening the shoulders through this area to better accommodate bikes, and the pedestrian accommodations will be improved. The D Street signal will be converted from a temporary signal to a permanent signal. We are going to be able to recoup some green space there, as you can see on the left side of that intersection, and we have future hopes to do some public element there, although that's not really within the scope of the DOT-funded portion of the project, but that's something we'll have to look to in the future. In the project, we are looking to implement some angled head-in parking adjacent to it so that it could support some future public space there. We are, again, working through the final design on this one, plan to advertise over this winter. All these advertisement dates, of course, are, subject to favorable right-of-way negotiations and that sort of thing. But most of these projects have very minor impacts, so we're hopeful that we'll be able to stay on these schedules. And I'd be happy to address any questions on this one or go to the next one. This next project, Spruce Street.
Alderman O'Brien?
Yep.
Just Alderman Tebow.
Thank you. Are there, I can see there's some kind of a feature right where the new apartment building is being built currently, on the lower right-hand, in there. Is that showing new accommodations to help with that increased traffic flow for those apartment buildings, or is that anticipated?
It functionally works the same way. So you only be, when you turn off of East Hall Street there, you'll have to depart out the back of that apartment complex on Crown Street. So there's no additional improvements in terms of making it easier to get out of that area than it was previously. But that development, was developed on the existing traffic pattern condition, so they're aware of it.
Okay. Thank you.
Welcome.
Alderman Clay.
Thank you. Just a quick question, and it may not be relevant, but I remember when we first started talking about this entire project here, we had a lot of public meetings where people had input because of it affecting E Street, D Street, and I know that was more when we were talking about the Rotary. Will there be any more public input on this, or is this just kind of the design is the way it's going to be, or where we're not really making any major changes, is it necessary?
That's a fair question. I mean, there was I believe, steering committee and everything set up, and a lot of those people have come and gone, whatever. So I don't think we plan on bringing that whole group back together, but I would like to come into the infrastructure and have more, extended discussion about some of the particulars and how we ended up here. We did have a preferred alternative meeting, like a rehearing to bring back to the public the fact that we were modifying the preferred alternative. Pretty lightly attended, I'll be honest. So, but yeah, it does. We're happy to come back to this committee and the full board if necessary to have more in-depth conversation about where we ended up here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Next project, Spruce Street Connector. So this is it's out there a little bit. The engineering is supposed to start in 2027. And that usually takes a couple years through the DOT process. Again, this is one of the projects that's on the DOT program, so it would be funded largely by them, 80%. This would build a multi-use path connector, which would connect that East Heritage East Rail Trail over to Temple Street for a crossing to the trail system and riverfront area over there. So it's a nice little project. We actually have been coordinating with the developer of the 103 Temple Street project. As part of that approval process through planning board, we've worked out an agreement with them where they're going to build a bunch of this. So we may actually see some of this sooner than these out years, but this is a project that's coming that we wanted to update you on. last project I haven't updated on is Lock and Whitney bike ped project. So that's currently in the engineering study phase, so the initial design phase of the project development process. This one also has funding support through DOT. It's to improve bicycle and pedestrian accommodations, and we intend to recoup some of the road space for bikes and pedestrian facilities, because those roadways are a little bit tight, and that happens through implementing some one-way patterns. The consultant currently is working through developing some design alternatives, and then this fall we will have a public meeting to talk about what we feel is the proposed action. Which of the alternatives that they've come up with is the preferred option in our minds. But that will take that to public and receive public input and see if the public agrees, and or if a different alternative should be selected. So that meeting hasn't been scheduled yet, but we anticipate having that this fall. Thank you very much.
All right, no further questions? All right.
Mr. Chairman, though,
Yes.
I do want to take this opportunity as we're transitioning here. I know we have Director Hannum coming. There's probably a conversation about West Pearl Street and the West Pearl Street streetscaping that should be occurring too. And so I would recommend maybe at the next Infrastructure Committee meeting, talking about that a little bit. I know that there was some monies proposed more recently, and there was a thought of maybe using some cash that we might have on hand, if that is the will of the Board of Aldermen and the mayor. That's something that I would want to kind of have on the horizon. And I know it's very timely for Engineer Hudson and Director Hannum. So I wanted to kind of
When you're finished, I
Oh.
want to ask a question about that.
Yeah, so I just wanted to kind of raise that because, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to suggest that there be an Infrastructure Committee agenda item on this, and then also a conversation at budget, so we can move forward if we could with some sort of project, because we are at 100% design. We've bid it once or twice. We don't have all the monies available for construction, but we're pretty close. And so we just, wanting to be as efficient as possible, would like to get some direction.
So granted, we'll just have to schedule it, that's all.
Thank you.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes,
Yeah, thank you.
Alderman Klein.
To the point that you made, when we do have that meeting, if we could, I remember when this conversation came up, we talked about the potential of partially using the TIF, because it was partial of that. If we could have that conversation added to whether or not that was feasible, whether we do the transfer of funds from TIF, or how we would go about doing something like that. So I just want to make sure that that becomes part of the conversation when we have that. I know that more budget than infrastructure, but I'd like it to be the whole conversation when we're looking at funding.
Absolutely. That's why I strategically brought it up now with Director Hannum coming up, because it is definitely something that Director Hannum will need to speak and work toward if that is the desire of everyone.
Okay, thank you.
Director Hannum, welcome.
Thank you. Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director. And I do have the plan to include the School Street TIF information. So the first project is talking about the dog park. And this is going to happen. LMG has offered to build the dog park as part of the NIMCO building, as part of our master development agreement at their expense, and a small parking lot between 15 and 20 parking spaces in the spot that we have talked about for a few years here, right at the mouth of Mine Falls Park. The LMG has already met with the AdPAC chair, the Animal and Dog Park Advisory Committee chair this month, to talk about initial design concepts. And once they have a alternative, they'll bring it back to the AdPAC committee and then to this committee as well. So that's that update. The Riverwalk, current construction. As you can see, I have kind of line-by-line item list here of what we've expended, what we still anticipate expending, and then down at the bottom there, I've got on the right, final change orders anticipated for a couple of the line items that exist currently. And then left to contract, we've got 5 items there. We did just get the Water Street Bridge mural proposals, the final proposals today, so I'm pretty excited. The committee, we have about 10 people represented from Clock Tower, the Arts Commission, the Richelieu Club, the French-Canadian Club, and city staff as well on that committee that is going to choose the finalists for that.
Next slide.
Yeah, unless there are questions. No.
I have a question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you very much. Okay, 2 questions. Number 1, the big question. When do you anticipate this project being done?
So substantial completion is November 1st, which means we can actually use the park. And that will mean all of the construction will be done, basically. They will still need to come back and do the plantings in the spring. And then we have a few things that, like the gateway signage, that won't be ready until about May. So we expect done around May of '26. But the construction piece will be done November 1st,
Okay,
9 weeks from now.
all right. Ribbon cutting in May.
Yes, yep. So we're anticipating like a grand reopening event Memorial Day weekend.
I love it.
Yeah.
Follow-up, please.
Follow up.
Thank you. I see in left to contract, Water Street Bridge mural, there was a little bit of a dust up, I guess you would say, I think at a meeting about using positive street art or something like that, for one of the murals somewhere else on the project. You're looking confused.
I am.
But
They did bid on this, but the committee did not choose them.
For the Water Street.
For the Water Street Bridge, yeah.
Okay, so that's gone by. That's toothpaste out of the tube.
Right.
Okay.
So we picked 3 finalists, and those out of the qualifications. So we did an RFQ.
Yeah.
So we had 22 different applicants for that.
Okay.
And the committee, I'm not a voting member of the committee, I just staff it, but the committee decided on three other
Okay.
groups.
Thanks for clarifying.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to the next one.
So the marketing project, which doesn't sound like an infrastructure project, but it is, we are working on kind of making quality of life a part of our marketing project, which means doing kind of small infrastructure projects through our consultant. So as you see, this past weekend, we actually had our kind of fun celebration of the upgrades that we made to the library walk. And so that included signage, lighting, a mural, new benches, and then we had games and things for the kids this weekend, along with ice cream and kind of just making it active for the weekend. We do have quite a few other locations that we're going to be working on. These are just some of the options here. They are primarily in the downtown/downtown adjacent area because we're trying to kind of increase the impact of multiple locations within the downtown. However, if you go to the next slide, we are going to do also small community investments that will be in the larger area. So one in each ward that I will be reaching out to you to talk about where those could be in your wards. But small infrastructure projects like signage or banners or alleyways or bump outs or street murals, things like that, that are between $5,000 and $20,000 that we will be working on over the next year here. And then the final one for me is the next phase of the Riverfront project. So we will have completed Quadrant 2 in November, May. And then we did do a portion of it already for Quadrant 3, which is the boardwalk by Peddler's Daughter and all the way over to Margaritas. And we anticipated potentially doing the area behind the library, but with kind of the questions around what the library is doing and all of the potential or now planned development in the mill yard, we thought that that would be the next best quadrant to move to. So we will be working on expanding the TIF district to include this area so that we could use TIF funds rather than general funds to do any construction projects down the line. But we will be needing to do, because we did get kind of concept ideas and cost estimate in 2017, which obviously are out of date, and we don't actually know if the concepts are viable. We did find a few in the Quadrant 2 that were not viable. So as we kind of get to 30% design, we'll be able to have a better cost understanding. And we did plan to phase this project too. So as money becomes available, we'll do different pieces of it. So this will take a lot longer than what of kind of a full project like the Quadrant 2 was. We are pursuing grants. This grant supposedly will open in May, but it is a federal grant, and so we're not entirely sure where it will be, but there's potential there to offset the costs. That's it.
So just to add on, we set aside about $250,000 in the budget to be able to work on this project actively. And so that's what Director Hannum is teasing out for you, is this is what we anticipate occurring over the next year or so. So folks are aware that that's the plan and the direction.
Mm-hmm.
Questions? Any questions? Seems everybody's content.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Hannum.
Yeah.
This time, I'd like to pivot and talk a little bit about some community development projects. I believe we have Deb Chisholm and Matt Sullivan here to talk about some sustainability initiatives and some community development projects.
Mr. Chair, Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director for the City of Nashua. I'm going to pass it immediately off to Deb Chisholm, the city's Sustainability Manager, to discuss ongoing hydroelectric capital project efforts.
Ms. Chisholm.
Thank
welcome.
you. Thank you. Deb Chisholm, Sustainability Department Manager, Hydroelectric Facility Overseer. I've been here a couple times, sort of giving some intermittent updates, nothing consistent, but I'm super happy to say that with the Jackson Falls Hydro project, we had replaced all the equipment. You can see the great photo of the blue and yellow turbine that went into the new powerhouse. Basically, the construction is complete out there as of May. And in July, we actually started generating power. And even better, we actually started receiving revenue from Eversource. So that was really great. Super happy about that. We do have a couple of punch list items that we're still working on. And I guess what we're working on right now is coordinating with Eversource. They've got a program that they're trying to implement to bring power through that BAE Systems parking lot. So as of right now, we are sort of generating power on a temporary basis using some of the existing connections and wires that we had had in the past. And what we'll be doing is continuing with that, and once we're ready to actually flip the new switch, we'll do that. At this point, I have no prediction as to when that's going to happen, because really the ball will be in Eversource's court to figure out how they want to move that forward. So that's pretty much where the Jackson turbine project is. Like I said, we're about complete on that. At this point, it would be nice if we had a little bit more. I mean, maybe I'm the only one wishing for more rain, but if you've been out there right now, any of the water that you see in that picture right there is non-existent right now. It is super dry. The river is very low, which is, again, bad for revenue. But and if you recall back in the fall, you had provided us with $500,000 to get started on our design work for fish passage for both of the facilities, both Jackson Falls and Jackson Mills and Mine Falls facilities are in need of upgrades to their fish passage infrastructure. So we've started that with our existing contractor. We are currently in the process of evaluating alternatives for the downstream passage at Jackson. The contractor is also behind the scenes now also pulling together data for looking at upstream fish passage here at Jackson and both upstream and downstream passage at Mine Falls. I'm hopeful that hopefully by the end of this calendar year or early in the winter, we'll have some numbers pulled together relative to what the expenses will look like to actually do construction of all of that fish passage work.
Okay, right now I have Alderman Sullivan, Alderman Clay, and then Alderman Thibodeau.
Thank you. Ms. Chisholm, when all the conditions are ripe, it's raining, things like that happen, with the new turbine in place, will it generate more electricity than the old one?
I do believe that it will. I believe that it will be more efficient, and it will also be running more consistently.
Yep.
We won't have the trouble of trying to jury-rig something in the middle of the night because the turbine broke.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
A follow-up to that, we are capped by state law, correct?
We're capped at 5 megawatts.
Right, so even if water's going like a banshee.
Well, that cap is on paper. This facility here is a 1 megawatt facility, which is the same size that it was before. We did not want to increase the capacity of that facility because that meant additional permitting requirements.
Okay.
And a new license, et cetera. So it was better for us to just
Keep status quo.
keep the status quo,
Yeah.
correct. Yep.
Okay. Alderman Clay.
Thank you. Back to the fish passage, if I remember correctly, this was something that's kind of mandated. We have no choice on this, correct? This is kind of part of like I want to say EPA or DES.
It's part of the FERC is the one that oversees both the license and at Mine Falls and the exemption from a license at Jackson. And when they have approvals that are required from the fish agencies, that's when the fish agencies jump in and say, hey, we want to see, and they provide us with a lovely list of what they want to see.
So it's not just out of the kindness of our heart that we want to help the fish go upstream and downstream?
We do want to make the fish comfortable in their passage, yes, but the requirements are through our license and our exemption with FERC, and FERC will not approve anything until they can get approval from the agencies, U.S. Fish and Wildlife,
Right.
the State Fish and Game Department, et cetera.
If I may, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, you may.
The reason I bring that up, it's not that I'm saying that we're not kind-hearted and good-hearted. For those that are looking at this, I don't want anybody to come back and say, why are we spending, $1 million for fish when we could use it for the homeless, or we could use it for this or something like that. I'm trying to make it clear that, yes, we are kind and we are good, but we're also mandated to do this in order to be able to get the licensing and the approvals and so on.
Correct.
So, thank you.
Are you fishing for a question, Alderman Theobald?
I'm not fishing, but I'm going to throw my rod in the lake.
Oh, boy.
Boom, there we go. If I recall from prior meetings, 3 of these fish bridges needed to be done, as Alderman Clee was discussing. And I'm just, to make sure I was understanding your presentation properly, you talked about other ones that we need to look at. Now, is that because we care about the fish, or is that because that's also mandated? Because I thought it was just the 3 that were mandated for the project.
I'm not sure I'm following your question.
I'm not sure either.
Sounds like he's
Through
fishing.
prior presentations, and that's what I'm just clarifying, that I understood what you were saying, and maybe I was misunderstanding. But there was 3 of these that needed to be done in order to get everything online, if I recall correctly. But when you were just discussing this page, I thought you had mentioned additional ones.
Well, the fish passage overall, each facility has upstream passage and downstream passage. So if that's what you're asking, I think that right now we are currently working on upstream and downstream passage for Jackson, and we're working on downstream passage for Mine Falls. I think we'll be probably beginning of next year, calendar year, working on the upstream passage. Our upstream passage at Mine Falls right now is actually a fish elevator that works great. What we're going to be required to do is make sure that the timing is working to ensure that the fish are getting in the elevator when they need to and getting tossed over the top.
Does Stanley have a monopoly on that?
Right?
Probably.
Maybe.
So these passageways have been the same passageways we've been discussing. These are not
Yep.
additional.
No,
Okay.
right, no. Oh,
So I was misunderstanding.
Oh, okay.
I just see
So
little
we are
fish
good.
pushing buttons. But their elevators get stuck like ours.
Yep.
Alderman Dowd.
So, just to clarify something, that turbine was made overseas, correct? And when we had it designed in a modular fashion so that if something failed, we could replace the one item without having to replace the entire generator. And I also thought that as part of that contract, we bought some spares. My bigger concern is, since it was made overseas, do we have somebody that's going to be maintaining it, especially if it fails, and doing yearly upchecks and all of that stuff?
The city currently has a contractor that operates and maintains both of the hydro facilities. It happens that when the city acquired the Jackson Mills facility, it was acquired, I don't want to say it was purchased, because it was really, as part of the contract, after a certain number of years, it was allowed, the city was allowed to take the facility. And we took it from the contractor that currently does the operation and maintenance of the facility. They are the most knowledgeable of that facility. There are folks that work at that facility that have worked there on that facility since it was installed in the 80s.
I was thinking more on the Jackson.
That's
the new-
Jackson.
The new turbine?
So now with the new turbine there, the folks that are doing the operation and maintenance have been there every step of the way, coordinating with the turbine manufacturer in the Czech Republic. We still have monthly phone calls that include folks from the Czech Republic. They have an office in Boston. Their headquarters are in Boston. And so we have the ability to get some quick turnaround if there's something that's, we've got a couple of, again, punch list items that we're dealing with the turbine manufacturer on to make sure that things are fixed. So
did we acquire some spare parts?
Not necessarily. I mean, you know, we don't have a spare generator, if that's what, if that's what you're asking.
No, I'm talking about modules within, in case something failed in the generator. The reason I ask is I thought we were supposed to do that for two reasons. One, this is made overseas, and getting a replacement part could take, especially with tariffs now, it'd cost a fortune. It would take years, probably. So I'm concerned from two standpoints. One, that if we have a failure, we're going to take forever to get a part replacement. And B, the costs now are going to be pretty prohibitive under the current situation with tariffs.
Well, you'll be glad to know that at least for the first year, we will have, there is a warranty on both the turbine and the generator. So that in and of itself, I think, is a bit of a safety net, if you will. But I do understand your concern about long lead times on replacing any equipment that might need to be replaced. But I'm going to go back and check to see if I can find some specifics on what you're looking for as far as the replacement buying extras. Because it's ringing a bell for me, but I can't remember what we were talking about specifically for the equipment.
Okay, Alderman Sullivan?
Thank you. Just to build off of Alderman Dowd's question, I think what's important is when you buy a piece of equipment like this, that you're going to have preventative maintenance that's scheduled either through the contractor or through the manufacturer. And it would be great to have a list of those key components either on site or readily available. So when that preventative maintenance is scheduled, they have the parts to put into the turbine so they don't have to come back, reschedule it again. In my world, our equipment's made in Germany. Current lead time is 10 months. So that is, that's an issue. And, you know, when a customer schedules it, they want to have the parts there on site. So when the tech shows up, they can fix it or maintain it so it keeps running. So I think it would be, just to your point, I think it might be a good idea to get a list of what those components are.
Well, I do have 2 copies of the operation and maintenance manual in my, one copy of the manual is 3 binders.
I'm sure it is.
This big. So I'm not going to tell you I'm going to go look through that for the list of parts, but I think you bring up a good question that I can certainly put on the agenda for our next phone call with Mavel.
Yeah, great.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, let's move on.
Matt Sullivan again for the record. I'll be very brief, provide update on 2 projects and then sort of a reminder on 1 project. The first is the Library Plaza reconstruction effort. I think everyone on the committee is familiar with this project. This was a HUD grant funded effort that was actually started under Director Sarah Marchant and Director McCormick to revitalize the current Library Plaza, the area right directly in front of the main library entrance. This project has gone through several iterations, partially because the project was seed funded back in 2019. There was no funding to continue the design, and then subsequently the Board of Aldermen, using revenue replacement ARPA dollars, found funding to advance this project further into design. I'm happy to report that we're now at a phase where we're at 100% construction documents, meaning we're 100% designed for the project. We have a full bid package ready. Unfortunately, based on some of the events over the last 6 months, our primary federal contact, U.S. Housing and Urban Development, who's actually administering this grant, at the risk of being critical of that agency, went a bit dark on us, and we were not able to move forward the grant agreement to execute the project. And so we had several months where we simply were not moving the project forward. Interestingly, during that time, 2 things were happening. One, the library was conducting its space needs analysis, its feasibility work. And second, this group and also the library trustees and several other bodies had preliminary conversations with Director Hannum, who's still here, relative to the idea of a more comprehensive redevelopment of the library site, adjacent parking areas, and in fact this plaza. So we have some intersecting work happening at the same point in time. So to be very blunt about it, although we have a set of 100% construction documents, we're now at a place where, because of particularly the RFP or the pending RFP work, we're in a position where we're hesitant to begin spending federal dollars that we would potentially have to pay back should a larger redevelopment happen in this area. So what does that mean, and where does it leave us? What we are planning to do, at least initially, is to pause the construction work, hold the design documents in hand, pause the construction work, proceed with the RFP that Director Hannum has drafted and is prepared to release over the coming months, understand what the market is for a redevelopment of the library area, one that would create certainly a new library facility, necessary public parking, and hopefully some green space as contemplated by this plan. But we would hold the HUD monies aside, not spend any of that, hold aside any remaining city general fund monies in the event that a redevelopment is proposed and a green space could be created as part of a larger redevelopment. The reason we would do that is that we believe that while HUD is interested, or certainly the Congresswoman who funded this project is interested in creating green space in this area, we believe there's a flexibility to pivot that grant money into creating green space in a different section of the site. So fundamentally what I'm saying here is that although we're 100% designed, and we did spend over $100,000 on that design, I'm going to be very frank here, because of the ongoing needs of the library and the potential redevelopment, or the redevelopment potential of this site, we're going to put a slight pause on putting that contract out to bid, assess the larger redevelopment scheme, and decide what to do next. It was mentioned earlier, certainly that the Walnut Street Oval and the West Pearl Street streetscaping probably require more regular updates to the Infrastructure Committee. I'm going to put this project in that category as well because of the several moving pieces here and the rate at which we're going to move over the coming 3 months. I know that Director McCormick is interested in seeing this work done sooner rather than later, and certainly with full design plans in hand, I share that feeling. But I think we're all recognizing the needs of the library and the need to take a more comprehensive approach here, and so that's why we're putting a slight pause on this effort. I'm going to stop my comments there, but I'm happy to answer any questions about any of sort of the major 2 intersecting projects I've just discussed.
Questions, Alderman Sullivan?
Fair to say, to be blunt, Director Sullivan.
Sure.
This isn't happening because of the reasons you outlined.
Alderman Sullivan, I don't want to be cute with my response because I want to be direct about it. The answer is that this project is not going out to bid in the next month because of these things that are happening.
Yep.
I want to say a couple things. One, it is possible that the project as designed does get built. It's very possible that happens. It's possible it happens that construction commences over the next 6 months. It's also very possible that through what we learn, or via what we learn in the RFP process, it is possible that we're coming back to you to propose an alternative location for this library plaza, perhaps as part of the riverfront. And at the same time, we would be going to HUD asking for them to allow us to apply these monies in a different area. Those are the realities that I see. What I don't think is a possibility is the idea that green space wouldn't be created in this area with the same intention and purpose that was originally contemplated here. What I think we're trying to do is appropriately slow this down to make sure that we're not doing haphazard, premature, not well-planned public investment when there's a larger redevelopment scheme possible.
Follow-up?
Comment. This area needs help.
Mm-hmm.
And it really needs help.
Mm-hmm.
And I would just hate to see this kind of just drift.
Yep.
Where nothing happens. And I understand that there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes, but it really is an area that needs help. And I was just there a couple weeks ago, and this actually popped up. I said, "Oh, when is this gonna happen?" So anyway, that's just my comment. It needs help, and I hope it doesn't languish out in Nowheresville. That's all.
All right, I have Alderman Clay and then Alderman Dowd. Alderman Clay.
Thank you. While I agree this area needs help, and I don't want it to languish, as my colleague just said, I also appreciate the fact that we're not going to just jump forward, because I remember having conversations in this horseshoe when we talked about it with Director McCormick, our concern that we would be starting to spend money here and then we would move the library, and it wasn't the intention that we had hoped for to be part of that library space. So I do appreciate the pause. I just hope that we don't ignore the space that we have there. Because I know that there's a potential library could be moved or shifted or whatever. I still believe that this space will be developed. I'm just glad that we're not going to develop it and then have to redevelop it if we move everything. So I do appreciate the pause. Thank you.
Alderman Dowd.
Yeah, I understand that we're playing around with the library, and they may build the library in the parking lot and then tear down the old library. I don't know if that's where they're considering the green space, but if we end up leaving the current space that this is planned for in anywhere near the condition it's in now, I wouldn't vote for moving it to another spot.
Mr. Chair, if I could just clarify briefly, the intent would not to be to move it to a completely different location. It's simply a matter of, does this specific area make sense as the green space in this general area? And it's possible this could be moved slightly to the north, slightly to the east perhaps. It could be more of a linear park along the riverfront itself, more in alignment with the riverfront master plan. So it's not providing green space at all in the area. It's just, is it this specific design that works moving forward? And that's the question in front of us.
But if you move it and you don't incorporate the current space, it's going to look like it looks today, and that's not acceptable. So,
Agreed.
so I don't know how you address that unless you come up with more money to do both. Because this is designed because that area between the library and Court Street is disaster. And that needs to be fixed. And to take the money to fix that, move it somewhere else without doing something to this space, not going to fly.
And that move would only happen in tandem with some other larger redevelopment concept that would revitalize the exact area you're talking about, Alderman Dowd. So there's no, I don't want to suggest that this area will not be resolved and improved. It will. The question is simply, is the improvement the green space that you see on the upper right of the screen here? Is it some sort of hardscape and then the green space is slightly in a different location? But no question, we recognize this is a critical area in the downtown core. It needs an injection of attention. Everyone knows that, I think, around this horseshoe, and certainly Director McCormick does as well. It's just a question is this the exact plan? And that's what we need to figure out.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none. This is the last.
Very quick. I'll be extremely quick. And this is intended to do everything you're not supposed to do in a PowerPoint, and that is put many words in the slide.
No, the next thing is not supposed to do is read the slide.
So let me quickly read everything on here. No, I wanted to say, as part of the capital process each year, you allocate a fairly small amount of money to the National Transit System. They do a bunch of capital projects. You put in, let's say, $150,000. They use that as match to do 5 or 10 different things, from purchasing vehicles to doing a generator hookup. The list goes on and on. I just wanted to comment quickly that we're working actively on our technology project. We're going to roll out real-time bus location technology in late 2025. We're working on a bunch of small capital projects that you'll hopefully see in some way, shape, or form, particularly for those riding the system. But we're also working on improving our fleet. We're bringing a new CNG vehicle on in 2025 and hopefully 5 new vehicles in 2026. So those small investments are critically important. They result in a lot of long-term improvement to our system, and I just wanted to list them for the record, and these will be a part of certainly the minutes and the presentation that moves forward. But thank you for your continued support, and we're trying to churn through these capital projects slowly but surely. Happy to answer any questions about these, but not happy to read through them individually. And then briefly, just a quick comment on my last slide. This project is one that we've talked about. I'm not going to do a monologue about it, but what I did want to mention is that we did submit a congressionally directed spending request. This is not the only project we've submitted. We don't know whether that will be funded. We're trying to complete that Task 1 Step 2 work, which is really updating the key financial metrics, the financial plan, and identifying funding sources. We know this is a long-term project, but we're continuing to try to find funding sources to support it, with it not being funded as part of the supplemental appropriation nor as part of the capital budget. We understand that this is a priority, but perhaps not a priority above some of the more clear needs that the community has at this point. But it's possible I might be back talking to you about it in the future. And that's all. Thank you.
Hey.
So, Mr. Chairman, if there's no questions, that really concludes the overall update. I am sure we may have missed a project along the way. We tried to be as comprehensive as possible. I was trying to keep it to about 2 hours, so I think we've done that. But if there's a project that I've missed, just let me know. Happy to come back before you in the future to provide you that update. And then some other projects that are timely, we'll be going into a little bit more detail, as I said, as you may desire.
Yeah, and please follow up on what was suggested on other meetings on the different topics and stuff, and we'll look for, hear communication from you, and we'll convene the committee.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, thank you, everybody, for your information. We're now going to go on to communications. Well, I could do it. Well, go ahead, we'll wait for it.
Thank you. Just wanted to get this off the screen for you. Sorry, it's not working. Sorry about that.
Okay, well, first is, without objection, I'm going to suspend the rules and allow this communication that was received after the agenda was prepared. Now, can you introduce the,
Unfinished business?
no, from Mr. Wayne
Okay.
Husband?
From Mr. Wayne, from Wayne R. Husband, PE, Senior Traffic Engineer,
Oh, you don't have-
in regards to Division of Public Works, support of pending legislation.
Okay, there being no objection, I'll accept the communication and place it on file. Unfinished business?
There is none.
Okay, new business resolutions.
R25-195, authorizing deed waivers for certain properties.
Okay, I'm going to welcome
Done.
Don Enright for the Financial Department CFO for the City of Nashua. Welcome, Ms. Enright. Okay, can I have a motion on this so we could discuss it?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to motion to recommend final passage.
Okay, Ms. Enright, could you lead us into it, please?
Certainly. Thank you very much, Chair. Dawn Enright, Treasurer, Tax Collector. So I am here in front of you this evening to talk about R25-195, which is an authorization for deed waivers for certain properties for the tax levy of tax year 2022. These are properties that have delinquent taxes for that tax levy year, and for a multitude of reasons within the statute, we are requesting that these properties not be deeded at this time. We have several properties listed here. Happy to report 4 of them have paid, so they are on the list, but there is no need any longer. But so I'm happy to answer any questions that people may have.
Alderman Clay.
Thank you. Just a couple of quick questions. One is, there's an asterisk next to a number of them that say principal only when you refer to the environmental impairment. Could you explain what that means?
Yes, there are, at the bottom of the list, there are several properties that have the asterisk. Those are the ones that are involved with the development that's going to be happening over at the, I can't believe I can't remember the name of the property that we're developing. Mohawk Tannery, thank you. They're all the properties in relation to the Mohawk Tannery. And we've only listed the principal balance on them because they are quite delinquent, but they are under contract to be paid when the property is closed on.
And just one quick follow-up.
Follow-up.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So this is basically similar to the last time we had a meeting. We talked about these particular things that would actually hurt the city to take over these? In other words, it would cost us to either have to mitigate some of the environmental issues, or I know there's some that say federal things, meaning that we can't really touch it at this point because there's a federal issue
Yep.
going on. That's what all of these
Yes.
are. It
Yep.
would actually hurt the city in the end and therefore the taxpayers.
Yes.
For us to take on these particular properties. Is that correct?
Thank you for the question. Yes, all of these properties under RSA 80 have reasons in which if the city was to take these properties, it puts us under liability risk, either having to do with possibly a noticing issue, contaminants on the property, if there's going to be a liability for us to pay certain fees in relation to the property, or if it's some of the cases you could have IRS liens on them, where the IRS has contacted us and let us know that they are proceeding with their process to close on the property, so there's no reason for us to compete. We are first priority. All of our liens will be paid if any other type of foreclosure is to happen on a property, so we will be paid.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A little along the same subject, a little off. You're familiar with the New Searles Road property and the question in the purchase, and then we're still litigating that. Is that active? Because she has appeared to an automatic meeting making a plea.
Thank you for the question. Yes, the 19 New Searles property, they have declined to close on that property at this given time, and an offer has been given to the second highest bidder from the auction, and we're waiting for correspondence to come back. I think they have to respond by the 2nd of September, whether or not they're going to go forward.
Okay.
Okay?
All right, very good. As long as we're working on that.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. That's good. Okay, any other questions? Not? Okay. I will call for a vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Enright.
Thank you very much.
New business ordinances?
O-25-061, authorizing a stop sign on Weld Street at its intersection with Old Field Road. Mr. Chairman, I motion to recommend final passage.
Okay. This is the correspondent that came in late. We did get it from Senior Traffic Engineer, Mr. Wayne Husband, and he has approved of it. Been several near misses. So I think we also have Mr. Dan Hudson if we have further questions.
Dan wants to speak.
Huh?
Alderman Senate.
Yeah, yes, I know. I'll get to him. Thank you. So we have Mr. Dan Hudson if any other questions. Now, I saw you waving. Alderman Senate.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Not nearly as exciting as tax deeds or anything, but this was a request for a stop sign that was actually submitted through the Department of Public Works, who brought it to me. If you're not familiar with the Weld Street or the Old Field Road area, there's been a lot of significant development there over the past couple of years in relation to the growth of Riviera University. Weld Street is a T intersection with Old Field Road that connects with South Main Street. This would simply put a stop sign at the end of Weld Street so that I'm sure the increase in motorists that'll be traveling that route will not be striking any motorists or pedestrians on Old Field Road. Yeah, fingers crossed, of course.
Okay, any further questions, comments? Okay, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Alderman Clay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. O-25-064, amendments to permitted permitted parking areas. At this time, I'd like to motion to recommend final passage.
Okay. Here to introduce it, we have Ms. Liz Hammond. You can sit if you like. And also on Zoom is Jill Stanfield of Parking Enforcement. Welcome.
Thank you.
Who
Liz
wants
Hannum?
to bring it up? Do you,
Yeah.
Ms. Hannum? Okay.
Liz Hannum, Economic Development Director, and as you mentioned, Jill Stansfield, Parking Manager, is on Zoom as well. This legislation has 3 areas with some changes. The first is the Pine Street Extension lot. When we decided not to make it paid parking for hourly, we had already put it in the permit system. So right now, if we implement, we didn't end up implementing it in January because we wanted to wait and so that customers could use the parking lot as well. But now we would need to pull the permit system out, so it would just be free parking. So this one's just a cleanup. The next is the High Street garage, underneath the High Street lofts. Sorry, not the garage. School Street, underneath the High Street lofts. Yes. So we would take half of that parking lot, 20 spaces, and convert them from hourly to permitted parking, so that they could, and that would be kind of its own system because it would be a year or 24-hour permit. And then the third location is Renaissance Park. In talking with some of the business owners around there, they really want more hourly parking. And currently, we would just have 7 spaces full all day in the park. So we'd like to have it be available to hourly parkers instead of just employees for downtown. And we're looking to hopefully help some of the music school, parents would come and drop off their kid at music school and hang out in the park, things like that. So we're looking to convert that from a permit to an hourly system. So those are the 3 locations that are in this.
Okay. First, I'll recognize Alderman Sullivan, but Ms. Stanfield, do you have anything to add?
I do not. Director Hannum did a great job explaining what this piece of legislation would do.
Okay, very good. Alderman Sullivan.
Thank you. Could you talk me through the School Street parking garage again?
Yes.
Because this is what I'm confused about. It says there's a full access pass permit you can get for $300. But then it says universal leaseholders can park at any time in any of the listed facilities except School Street parking. So can you just, what are you doing to School Street and all that?
Yeah, so essentially School Street would be its own system. So it would be outside of the universal system where people could park at any of the other lots around downtown.
Yeah.
So this would be, we anticipate area residents mostly in those permits.
Oh.
Follow up?
So if I wanted to get a full access pass for $300, I would still be, even though I don't live on the High Street flats, I could still park there?
Correct, if you have that permit. And so we would open it up to the general public. It wouldn't just be for residents of that, of the High Street lofts.
And there will be no hourly parking?
There would be, half of the garage is going to be hourly,
Okay,
and then half would be permitted.
okay.
Okay, very good. Alderman Clay.
Thank you. And this full access price, this is per month, is that correct?
It is.
So it's $300 per month. And the universal leaseholders are that they could park in any other lot except for this particular one, whether it be High Street, Elm Street, or any of the other lots that we
Yeah.
have going.
We did, when we were looking at this, we did go to our parking consultant, and because of the location, the heated indoor garage area, that this was his recommendation for a price for that.
May I just comment?
Yes, you may.
I agree that we keep the School Street parking garage out of the Universal, because why not park there? You know, it makes sense, so, thank you.
Okay, and no other questions? I'll now call for the vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Hannon.
Yeah.
Okay, petitions.
There's none?
Tabled in committee. This will perhaps stay in committee. Anybody wish to bring it off? Okay. No. Just an update. Mr. Sullivan is here. They could probably give us an update just on the subject matter. Could you briefly do that, please?
Can we do that without tabling?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm the chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Matt Sullivan, Community Development Director. This is a very brief update. As you're aware, this item has been tabled for a substantial amount of time in front of the Infrastructure Committee. This is a petition relative to Deerwood Drive. You may recall significant conversation around the development of a single-family lot located at the end of the Nashua Airport. There have been several conversations with agents of the current owner of that property over the last year. Those conversations have been primarily centered upon the city's acquisition of the property, and to be specific, focused on the Conservation Commission's acquisition of the property. You may recall that not only is this property in close proximity to the airport, it's directly adjacent to several city-owned conservation lands and other conservation lands owned by conservation agencies in the state of New Hampshire. Those negotiations, I think it's fair to say, started from very different ends of the spectrum. But the city's Conservation Commission, I believe, has articulated that it has an interest in purchasing the property. It performed an appraisal. It negotiated in good faith with the current owner of the property. For a variety of different reasons, those negotiations haven't proceeded over the last year, but we do believe that they'll be picked up again in the coming months, rather. So I would recommend leaving this item on the table while allowing those negotiations to proceed with the commission and with the current owner. Certainly, in the event that those negotiations deteriorate moving forward, it is possible that the current owner returns to seek the petition relief that is before you. If that does in fact happen, I'm happy to join those meetings, provide a refresher on the conversation that happened about a year and a half ago. It was quite a long time ago, and also remind the board of its sort of roles and responsibilities in the context of that petition, because it's a bit of an odd one. But again, our objective is to somehow meet in the middle with the current property owner based on the character and the location of the lot, and I think a mutual benefit to the Conservation Commission and the owner to resolve the situation. So with that, Mr. Chair, happy to provide any updates beyond that you might need or answer any questions about the situation.
Open it up for questions. Okay, very good. Thank you for the update. Okay, general discussion. No, nothing? Okay, public comment? Okay, well, nobody here, so we'll skip through that. Remarks by Alderman. Okay, I got one, since everybody got long faces. I would like to wish a happy birthday to the youngest of the clan O'Brien. It's her birthday today, my daughter Haley, so happy birthday, Haley.
Happy birthday,
And
Haley.
hopefully the door's unlocked when I get home, so. All right, very good. With that, Alderman Clee.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion for adjournment.
Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And I'll call the meeting at 9:18, and thank you, everybody, for being here.